This topic is decisions in game shows, this one and the next topic. We will talk about a game show called Final Jeopardy. This is a popular quiz show in the US. A lot of times this is available in YouTube. I would highly recommend that you watch the Final Jeopardy once at least in YouTube before going through this entire exercise. I'll say that one more time. So we will do a little case study of this game called Jeopardy. Now there are many TV shows like Jeopardy where we have to make decisions, and we saw the Kaun Banega Crorepati example earlier, where you would say, okay, do I want to continue or do I want to stop? There are many such game shows, in fact, on TV that we see, and this is just to list a couple of them here, but there are many more. Now there are some complications here. Now when there is a game means there are multiple players. Okay, so unlike the Kaun Banega Crorepati where you're the only player, okay, so therefore the situation is a bit different. Here there are multiple players, so it adds a little bit to the complexity. We will take a look at it. I'll explain the game reasonably well. Now there are three parts of the game. We're only going to look at the last part. So now essentially if you look at chess is another game, obviously, and there are many other games, but in chess the players alternate and make decisions. Well, the white goes first, makes a decision, and black goes first. By decision what we mean is makes a move. Now it turns out that they do this one after the other. You can see what the other person has done. Here what happens is we will see where all the players make a decision in one shot, one decision, and they don't see what each other is doing, and one shot, one decision, so at the same time. So in some sense this is like an auction. Okay, many times you would be familiar with what's called an auction. This is something similar to that. Okay, this Jeopardy is what we're going to be looking at, and this is a very popular TV show. It's been running for a long time, several decades. Okay, I would highly recommend that you go to YouTube and watch one episode of Jeopardy, if not more. I would recommend watching a few. Even if you don't have that kind of time, at least watch the last part. So there are three parts in the Jeopardy game. The first part is the basic Jeopardy, then there's something called double Jeopardy, then there's a final Jeopardy. The final Jeopardy is all you need to see for today. Okay, this is what we are going to be talking about in this course. Okay, but I will tell you a little bit more about what happens in Final Jeopardy in case you don't get a chance to see it. I want to also say that we have to just do a discussion. We are not going to come up with an optimal strategy like we saw in the green cat before, or the secretary problem. All those had an optimal strategy. Okay, here we are not going to have an optimal strategy. I do want to warn you, so don't get too excited. We will just analyze. I just want to give you an appreciation for decision making under uncertainty. Now turns out, and I will give you a picture when I get a chance, but there are three players in the game, and everybody who has non-zero points, and these points are expressed in dollars. Actually the word dollar there doesn't make any sense, mainly because the players don't really get that dollar amount. Unlike a Kaun Banega Crorepati or a Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, that is the actual amount that they go home with. Here the amount is just notional. Okay, so we can just think of them as points. Now after two rounds they have certain number of points. So I'm going to say, let's say the first person has X number of points, second person has Y points, and the third person has Z points. Okay, so more often than not there are three players left. If somebody has 0 points, they're basically eliminated from the final round, but that happens very rarely. So we'll just take the more generic case of having three players. So the first player has X amount, second player has Y, third player has Z. Now X, Y and Z we are going to assume is actually known, not just assume, is actually known to everybody. Everybody can see how much points each person has. Okay, unfortunately I don't like using uppercase X, uppercase Y and uppercase Z, mainly because these are like random variables, but here they're not. These are not at all random variables. I just want to warn you, these are not random variables, okay, like we've seen before. I do want to warn you. Maybe I should have used a different letter. Okay, here are the basic rules. I'm going to tell you the rules once. It might be difficult, and I'll draw a picture and explain it one more time next, okay, in a blank slide here. I'll do that. So essentially this is what happens. So when you come down to final Jeopardy, and each of the players, say first player has X amount of money, second player has Y amount of money, the third player has Z amount of money. At that point, the category is provided. Okay, so the category of the is for the last final Jeopardy is provided, but the clue is not given. So you don't know what question is going to come, but you just know the category. Now, once the category is revealed, okay, you as a player need to wager an amount. Okay, need to say, okay, I will wager this amount of money. Okay, and that number has to be between 0 and how much money they have. So, for example, player 1 can wager between 0 and X. So, if little x is the amount that the player wagers, that is puts down, then that person, that x, little x must be between 0 and big X. Okay. Likewise, if player 2 wagers y, which should be a number between 0 and uppercase y, and the third player wagers z. Okay. Now, the wagers are such that if you win, if you get the answer correct, then that x, y or z gets added to your score. If the wager is wrong, it gets subtracted from your score. Okay. So, now everybody writes down their wagers at the same time. Nobody knows what each other people have wagered. So, in fact, you will see a big screen on your left and your right when you see it on TV. You won't see what the other person are writing down. In fact, you will never know how much they wagered until the very end. Okay. So, now what happens is, so here are the steps. Step 1 is the category. Okay. Step 2 is the wager is written, but it's hidden. Wager is written down, but it's hidden. The next step is the clue is given, or the question is given. The quiz question is given, and the players write down the answers on their screen, okay, much like the screen that I am writing down right now. They write down the answer. Then the quiz master, most likely Alex Trebek, will actually show what each person has answered. So he goes to the first player and looks at his or her answer, and if the response is correct, then the person would now get x added to their score. So, their score will be little x plus big X. Now, if y also gets it right, their score will be y plus big Y and z plus big Z. Okay. Now, if the question is answered incorrectly, then the x amount or y amount or z amount gets subtracted. So, this is when the wagers are revealed. Okay. Wagers are revealed, and you know how much they all betted. So, you could, as a player, either have 0 or twice how much you started, right. So, if you wagered all your money, then basically if you got the answer correct, you would double, and if you got the answer wrong, you would have 0. So, you would be anywhere between 0 and 2x if you are player 1, 0 and 2y if you are player 2, 0 and 2z if you are player 3. Now, the winner of the Jeopardy is the one with the highest final total. This is after adding or subtracting. Okay. We won't worry about ties. For the purposes of this course, we'll ignore that. So, the question is, what should the players wager? How much should each player wager? So, what should little x be? What should little y be? And what should little z be? So, this is the question. That's what we're trying to decide. This is the decision you need to make under uncertainty. What is uncertain? While making the wager, what is uncertain is what question is going to come. However, what is known a little bit about it, some information is known, which is what category it is. So, if it's an easy category, you might think, oh, maybe I'll get the answer correct. If it's a hard category, maybe, oh, maybe not, okay, and something like that. So that's what is going to happen. Okay. So let me give you an example. Okay. So, let me give you an example just to illustrate this whole process. Okay. So, when you look at the screen, you will see player 1, and then they will have a screen here. This is player 2, will have a screen here, and player 3 will have a screen here. And when they give out the category. Let's say the category is mathematics. Okay. So they tell you the category is mathematics. All right. So that's what Alex Trebek will come out and say. Okay, the category is mathematics. Now, this person has initial amount, like the beginning amount. Let's say this person has 10,000, and say this person has 7,000, and this person has 14,000. All right. Now, the category is mathematics. All right. Now, what happens is this person needs to decide, okay, mathematics is something that I'm strong at, so maybe I will wager all my money. Okay. Now, the others cannot see this. This is secret. Okay. Nobody can see this other than the player. Okay. This is kept secret. Now, this person says, oh, I don't know, I'm not very strong as mathematics, I'm going to wager 0. This is also a secret. Okay. And the third person says, okay, mathematics, I'm okay with it, maybe I will wager 7,000. Okay. And this is also a secret. So, you don't know how much they wagered. So, right now the question hasn't yet come. So, they put down this amount of money. They cannot change this till the end of the game. Now, the question is revealed. Okay. So, now these people have made their decisions based on how strong they feel about the subject of mathematics. Okay. The first person feels a bit strong, they put down all their money. The second person is not very strong, so puts down 0, thinking whatever they ask, I'm not going to be able to answer, so I'll just put down 0. The third person is kind of ambivalent and says, okay, I will put down halfway, okay, 7,000. We'll talk about what is a good number to put down. These are not the best numbers. This is just to illustrate what could happen. But you need to be thinking about how each person should be wagering at this point of time. Now, let's say the question comes up saying, for example, what is the smallest number, or actually the only number, 3-digit number that equals the cube or the sum of the cubes of, let me just write that down, the sum of the cube of the digits. Okay. So, that's the question. All right. So, the first person thinks about it and is not sure and puts a question mark. The second person, who remarkably thinks about it and then just writes down 847. And the third person thinks about it and says, okay, I know this is 153, which by the way is the right answer, because 1 cubed is 1, 5 cubed is 125, 3 cubed is 27. So, 1 plus 125 plus just 27 is 153. Okay. So, that is the only number that can be written in that form. So, now what happens is when they reveal the answer, this person does not write anything. So, they would go home with 0. This person has 7,000. So, this is the final, the end point, goes with 0. Second person goes with 7,000, and the third person gets 21,000 and the winner. So, this person is the winner of that day. This is the winner because they have the maximum amount of money. So, now the question is, what is a good number? So, what should this number be, what should this number be, and what should this number be will be our study next. So, let us look at this. So, let us say the category is world geography. Okay. So, now this is another different category. Now, I am giving you different numbers for what x, y, and z are. So, let us say the first person has 14,000, the second person has 11,000, and the third person has 9,000. The question is, what should each person do? What should each of the players do? Now, when a category is something like world geography, you will see that most of these guys are pretty good in world geography. So, they would feel somewhat confident. They are unlikely that anybody is going to put down a 0 for a topic like world geography. So, especially you would expect, okay, a question that they could potentially answer. Okay. So, I do want to say that the topic is somewhat important, although some of the websites don't say too much about it. And so what should each player do? Okay, so now let's think of the first, let's go player by player. In fact, let's take the first player. So now the first player has the maximum number of points, 14,000. Okay, now what could happen? The worst thing that could happen is the second player wagers all their money and gets the answer right, and thereby going to 22,000. So Y's amount could be 22,000. So X must wager just enough so that if they get it right, so which is 14,000 plus 8,001, to get 22,001 and thereby win. Okay, we don't want a tie for now. Okay, let's pretend that that's the case. So what we will do is we will say, okay, let us go ahead and wager 8,001. So little x is 8,001. This is a reasonably good strategy. Now this is a very standard tactic. Almost all the top players generally do that, especially when the topic is not terribly weird. Let's say, for example, the topic is Shakespeare and you're not strong in that. Yes, it does make sense for you to wager somewhat lesser, but otherwise it's a pretty good choice. Now the second player, their best hope is they do know that this being a very popular strategy, this is what the first player is going to do. So the second player, who's the second highest scorer, is going to say, well, I can only hope that they get the answer wrong, and if they get the answer wrong, they'd be down to 5,999. Okay. However, what could happen is the third player, who's at 9,000, could double and go to 18,000. We don't want that, so we want to top that one, because if this guy goes to 5,999, then that's okay. You're still at 11,000, so that's not a problem. However, if the person gets it wrong in this situation, that will be an issue. So given that this topic is something that they feel confident about, they would wager 7,001, so that 7,001 plus 11,000 gives me 18,001. So 7,001 plus 11,000, if they get the answer correct, is 18,001, and they can win provided the first person gets it wrong. Okay. Now the lowest player, their best bet could be several things. One good bet is for them to wager 3,000. So if everybody gets the answer wrong, then the lowest player is going to win 6,000, because they know that they probably are guessing that this is a strategy that the others are going to pick. Now we could really talk about, is this the best strategy? Probably not. Okay, but this is a strategy, and you also want to pick strategies that that are dependent on the topic and a whole bunch of other things. The other thing is, if a category is very tough, you could do something different. You could think, well, everybody is going to get it wrong, so I'll be conservative and put down 0. Topics like world geography, maybe you are one person who feels a little bit weak about the topic, but your opponents may not. So then you say, okay, let's go ahead and do that. Okay, so that's an option. Now I've given you 2 websites. I'm not going to click this, but this website is called thejeopardyfan.com. Go ahead and click it and look at the analysis that they provide. It's really interesting. And also go ahead and click this one. I'm not going to do it here. It's called thefinalwager.com. Click that, it will give you some information about various ways that people who have played this game a lot, or at least have been in the show, tell you, how best and what are good strategies to adopt. And I would be interested in hearing about what you think should be a good strategy for just this one. So feel free to email me your personal options. Thank you very much.